Hey, this is Kish,
And it's Roland here.
and we're from Porygon Tube, and we are bringing you round one action from the Bendigo League Cup in Victoria, Australia. In this round, we'll be featuring Chris on the left playing his Turbo Dark deck versus Robin on the right playing his Waterbox deck. So, Roland, any thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, so it should be pretty even. We've got a bunch of big basic decks. They're actually pretty similar, on the spectrum of decks in the format. They aim to get out a bunch of basic energies and just attack with these big basic Pokemon and hit for, good amounts of damage, but not like stratospheric amounts of damage particularly quickly. It's not going to be like Mega Ray where you can hit for 240 turn one.
Yep.
Of course, Lapras does have that damage cap. You're only really going to be able to hit for like 170, maybe even 20 more with the Professor Kukui that Robin does play in his deck. And Turbo Darkrai has a similar thing. I mean, towards the very end of the game, you can hit for big damage, but for most of the game, neither of these decks are probably going to be getting one-hit KOs on each other. But
Yeah.
it's just going to be a bit of a slog back and forth, and probably pretty even.
Yeah, so probably for the most part, they'll be trading 2-hit KOs. As you said, Darkrai can hit some big numbers later on in the game. But I think Rough Seas is going to be massive
Yeah,
from
that is
Robin's
big.
part. And also from Chris's side, Silent Lab to switch off Manaphy's Aqua Tube and stop Robin retreating, being able to use Blizzard Burn multiple turns in a row. So I think the
Yeah.
Stadium War is going to be massive in this matchup.
Yeah, of course, because when Lapras does use Blizzard Burn on its following turn, it can't even attack again. So you need to either retreat it to another Lapras or play a switching card. And of course, Manaphy provides free retreat for any Pokemon with water energy attached to it. But Robin also does play switching cards in his deck, so he actually plays two switch, which is interesting. And in Olympia, I believe
Yep.
some lists even play like Wishy Washy,
Yeah.
very niche card, which is a
Yeah.
card which it's a Pokemon which allows you to bring it back to your hand. So the idea is you retreat with Lapras, send it up, put it back to your hand, and that resets the effect of Blizzard Burn. But
Yeah.
of course, Lapras does have its GX attack, Ice Beam, which is a bit of an ace in the hole. Turbo Dark is a deck that does play a lot of switching cards, so the paralysis isn't always going to stick. But
Yeah.
it just has to once. At the
Yeah.
end of the game, Robin could N Chris and to just a few cards, and then Ice Beam, and then maybe Chris can't get off an attack, and that's going to be big. The other
Yeah.
thing is like non-EX attackers. Just can't remember if Robin plays like a particularly. Does he really play a non-EX attacker? Or
I think he's just got the Mewtwo from Evolutions, which is not
Yeah.
for this matchup. It's for the Mewtwo
yeah,
matchup.
yes. Yeah, some
but
lists
he-
do play Articuno. I know
Yeah.
the water lists, but and then conversely, we'll have Chris. He'll play the Oblivion Wing Evoltile, so that's going to
Yep.
be good in terms of trading prizes. Having a non-EX attacker, forcing your opponent
Yeah.
to take 7 prizes, that could give him an edge. Even though
Yeah.
the Oblivion Wing damage probably is going to be big, particularly with Rough Seas. But we do see Robin start with the Tauros GX.
Yeah,
If-
which is
an
actually
interesting card
Yeah.
in this deck. I was talking about Ice Beam being the GX attack, but of course Mad Ball is going to be competing with that spot for the GX attack. Obviously, if you get some damage on it, well, you want a Mad Ball. If it's going to get a knockout, that's almost always going to be better than using Ice Beam because paralysis is like a speculative effect.
Yeah.
They can switch out of it, but there is that competition there. But obviously, he thinks the Tauros is still beneficial, and it isn't weak to grass in the way that Lapras is, so it does offer a different type. Not that that's going to be relevant in this matchup.
no.
But yeah, so it just starts. It doesn't get anything else out on his first turn. Yeah, bit underwhelming, but not
Yeah,
heaps
but
he
he
could have
doesn't
done.
need too much. I think it's particularly annoying for Chris to see that Tauros so early,
Yeah,
particularly because he's going to be wanting to use Oblivion Wing Evoltile to start powering up his bench, and even just putting 60 damage on a Tauros is so risky.
yeah, it can be.
So I think that's quite an annoying attacker from Chris's point of view. As we said earlier, Darkrai doesn't hit big numbers, so he's going to really be playing into Tauros' hands a bit if he tries to hit that Tauros early. So yeah, not a bad start from Robin at all. And we see
No,
Chris plays
absolutely
first
not.
Max Elixir.
It is going to stall the game out a bit longer.
Yeah.
But the question is, does that actually benefit Robin? And I think probably the longer the game goes on, the more it would benefit Chris. So
Yeah.
Chris doesn't have to attack into Tauros if he's worried that putting 60 damage on it means Mad Ball will do the magic 180, which is stuff you knock out a Darkrai without a Fighting Fury Belt. Which of course Robin would have to have a Lysander as well, but I think he could just sit there and stick an Oblivion Wing active and just attach a bunch of energy, and I think he'd probably be okay with that. The problem is that you still need to knock out the Tauros, and
Yeah.
I suppose then do you just not attack it until you've got 8 energy into play? I mean,
Yeah.
it is a bit. It's annoying to deal with.
It's definitely annoying to deal with. So we see Chris doing his Darkrai thing, playing some Shaman, drawing some cards, but doesn't see anything too great, I don't think, in the Trainer's Mails. So
No, they're really just looking for max elixirs
yeah,
on his first turn.
He's got a Silent Lab in hand, and he does choose to play it this turn, so he's going to stop Robin from playing any Shamans, which he does have in his hand, actually. So, decent start from Chris. He'd like to see some max elixirs, and I believe he's VS Sigurd for an N.
So did he just whiff one earlier? Because I saw when he's
he did whiff his first max elixir.
Yeah, that's right. So, that's really all Darkrai. That and, I suppose, Fury Belt and maybe switching cards. That's all it really wants in the first turn. And maybe getting out that Oblivion Wing Yveltal if it's not already out. That's really the only things it's going to be searching for. But having the Silent Lab out is good as well, because he's got all the mileage out of his abilities. He's got the Hooper down, he's got the 2 Shaman down. He's not going to need any more abilities from his basic Pokemon, so now it's only going to be restricting Robin. Of course, Rough Seas does obviously counter that. But Robin will only have 2 Rough Seas at a maximum left, because he does only play 3, so that Silent Lab could be disruptive. And that Taurus could get stuck there, but it's not bad for Robin having it in the active spot. Yeah.
So Chris does play an Olympia actually in his Darkrai list, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, some lists do play that, but it's interesting to see that he does. Yeah.
So that's probably going to dissuade Robin from using any Ice Beam shenanigans too early on.
Yeah.
Because it's just a simple VS Seeker for the Olympia to get out of the paralysis from Lapras. So
yeah, it is.
So it's just an interesting card to see. It'll be interesting to see if it comes into play. So we see Chris play another Max Elixir. He does hit this one. I'm pretty sure I saw a Dark. No Dark in there. Wow.
That is unfortunate. Whiffing 2 Max Elixirs is pretty unlikely for a Darkrai deck that plays, I believe, 11 energy?
11 or 12.
Yeah, 11 or 12. Yeah. Actually, most lists do play 12.
Yeah.
That's right. It's Robin's list that plays 11 water energy.
Yeah.
But,
we see Robin sick away a whole bunch of bling. A couple of full art Sycamores, a couple of full art Lilies, Shaman full art. And Robin plays a Max Elixir, and I'm sure he will hit to... no, he misses as well. So both players... It's
not a good day for the Max Elixirs, that's for sure.
So we've got to risk it for the biscuit. That's what you try to do with Max Elixir. And when it hits, it feels so good. And when it misses, oh so bad. So
it is. And it's interesting that he is playing Palkia, I should say. Not all of these water lists do play it. It's a nice starting Pokemon because, of course, just having one Lapras out with a bunch of energy doesn't really do much unless you have something back up, because if you've used Blizzard Burn, there's a good chance you're not going to be able to follow up. So you may as well use turn 2 to power up other Pokemon. And that 40 damage that Palkia does is very relevant in terms of setting up for knockouts with Lapras.
Definitely.
And we do see, Chris getting that Fury Belt, that's really important. So it means that a Blizzard Burn with the Professor Kukui, which I mentioned earlier, is not going to be enough to knock out the Darkrai in one hit.
Yeah. So we'll see what Chris does. He does have a Shaman stuck active. So
he does. And it does have 60 damage on it. So if he doesn't get it out of there, that's escape rope. Yeah, so Darkrai's favourite card. Yeah. So he's going to be able to get some damage on the board here that isn't Tauros. That escape rope obviously nice for 2 reasons, both of its effects being useful there. Because, of course, Tauros is only a wall if it's active, and if it gets put to the bench, obviously, and you can't just really go lone Tauros with nothing else. So, it's... I mean, unless you're feeling particularly lucky, but...
Yeah. So we see Chris hit with Dark Pulse for 70, and Robin Olympias... Does he? Yeah, he does Olympia into Tauros. So he's going to put that thing active again.
Yep.
And just to annoy Chris a little bit more.
And he can get some good mileage. So getting 60 damage with Tauros, that adds on to the Blizzard Burn damage. So Blizzard Burn would get a knockout on a Darkrai. So these small increments of damage that Tauros and Palkia do, they are definitely going to be relevant later on.
Yeah, for sure. And let's see what else Robin can do on this turn. I'm not too sure what else he'll be looking for in yet. So he just hits for 60. And Chris, let's see. So what do you do if you're Chris here?
Yeah, this is a conundrum, really. Yeah. If he would like possibly even an Olympia for himself, but if he doesn't have, say, a Versus Seeker, or if he does, but he doesn't have any other sort of supporters or energy, he's probably going to be facing a difficult decision.
Yeah, and so Chris ends. It's tough because he'd like to see another escape rope or something.
That would be perfect. Absolutely, yeah.
But even then, he's not really doing a whole lot. What does he escape rope into? He can put it
Right,
as
of course,
Oblivion
because
Wing
then
active.
he has to switch
Yeah.
as well. But I mean, even he could just send up Evil Talon Oblivion Wing.
Yeah.
His best bet might actually just be to get to Oblivion Wing, and okay, if Robin gets a Lysander and Mad Bulls after a few Oblivion Wings, well, okay, that's a risk. But I mean, the alternative is what? Just to not do any damage.
Yeah.
I think it's probably worth it. Oh, he could just sit and do nothing until he finds a Lysander potentially, or another escape rope. But okay, plays Parallel City, interesting. So value's getting rid of those shamans.
Yeah.
More than the Silent Lab.
That's interesting.
Oh, sorry, it gets rid of Hooper and Shaman. Yeah, interesting that he got rid of Hooper and Shaman as opposed to two Shamans.
Yeah. Does he? I'm not too sure if he plays any float stones or anything. Maybe he's scared of Hooper getting Lysandered up while Robin
I'm
just
not
sets
sure
up
what
his
his
board.
switching card looks like.
Yeah.
So what his switching card count looks like. That, of course, that's an issue with Hooper for sure.
Okay, so Robin does hit a Max Elixir now.
But
So-
we're 1 from 4 this game.
Yeah. Now that that Silent Lab is gone, Manaphy's ability will come into play.
Yeah, he just needs to
And,
find a Manaphy and he can do whatever he wants. But
Yeah.
he's probably sensing that because obviously Chris didn't attack last turn, that he's got Chris in a good position as is.
Yeah.
So he might even just elect to keep Taurus active.
So yeah,
And just manually attach to the bench rather than using Palkia to power it up.
that's right. So we see an Evolution's Mewtwo in his hand.
Probably not going to be too useful in this matchup.
Not too useful. And an
Psychic
energy
resistance
switch.
plus Darkrai only having 2 energy on it. That's not the most useful card.
Yeah.
And
And there
another
we see-
painful Sycamore.
Yeah.
I assume it
It's
was
gotten rid
painful. I couldn't
yeah.
quite see what all the cards were, but
It's too shiny.
way too shiny, yeah. It must be
But
bad
yeah.
then.
So Chris, not really firing on all cylinders. Turbo Dark's got its handbrake up right now. Can't get anything going. He's only got 2 energy on board after 2 turns, which is pretty slow for Turbo
Yeah,
Dark.
absolutely. I mean, that's more or less sort of... I mean, it's not technically the worst start you can get, but
Yeah.
that's in like the bottom percentile for like
Yeah.
Turbo Darkrai starts in terms of energy on the board,
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
So there we see the Manaphy come down. It'll be interesting to see if he's got a Lapras or a way to get it in his hand.
Yeah, we've been
And if
talking. I
it's-
mean, Lapras is the centerpiece of Robin's deck, believe it or
Yeah.
not. It hasn't made an appearance yet, but any minute now.
Yeah.
Because he will want to be able to put that energy somewhere. He does play energy switch, so if this turn, even if he didn't put down a Lapras, he could like attach to Manaphy or Palkia even,
Yeah.
and have it there just so we can energy switch off.
Okay,
Oh, no,
so
but we
there
do
we see
see-
the Lapras GX come down.
Yeah, that very interesting art. I know
Yeah.
you're a fan of those arts, Gish.
No, I'm not a fan of this one. This is the full art.
Oh,
I just like the normal
Oh no,
one.
I'm being sarcastic here.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
see. My
Yeah.
bad.
But so we'll probably just okay. So he just hits for 60 with one attack.
Yeah,
So the Parallel City actually does reduce the damage from water Pokemon by 20, but Taurus is not a water Pokemon, so
yeah,
it still does 60 damage.
yeah. So, Robin, he doesn't really need to do anything else. He's just
No, he
that
doesn't.
Taurus is putting in
Yeah.
so much work.
He didn't even get a manual attachment that turn, but it's
Yeah.
not. It's not a particularly pressing issue at the moment.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like.
Because at any point he can just if he needs to, just slow his turn down, put Palkia up, and get some energy on the board. So he's in a pretty nice spot. If anything does ever happen to this Taurus, he's still got that Palkia ready to go to start powering up his board. And we do see Chris get an energy onto his Oblivion Wing Evoltile, which also has an EXP share.
Yeah.
So that's not ideal either, really.
No, he might have preferred it on the Shaman because if
Yeah.
if he's going to be attacking with Eviltile,
Yeah.
then it can't EXP share its own energy, obviously.
Yeah.
So you generally want to put EXP share on Pokemon that aren't going to attack, or like on Darkrai's that you need
Yeah.
to have. Yeah,
Later down
obviously
the road.
you'll generally prefer fighting Fury Belt, but yeah, generally EXP share you just want to pile a bunch of energy onto something that's just going to sit there to get maximum mileage out of it.
So yeah. So
So what does he do here though? That's an interesting decision. Oh, he's elected to pass again.
yeah, he's not hitting into the Taurus. So
Yeah, what'll probably happen is once, say, Robin, he might get another hit in with Taurus, and then Chris may as well attack into Taurus because he's already got all that damage on Darkrai anyway.
yeah, I was
know,
going
there's
to
no
say
difference.
that. Yeah, No, you're absolutely right. Sorry.
I mean, the only thing he would be risking a Lysander on, say, the fresh Darkrai and a Mad Bull, but it would. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he does here.
Yeah, it's almost. Yeah, you almost sort of.
Oh, but interesting. He's versus Seeker for Olympia.
Yeah, so not. Yeah, I'm not too sure about this, because you're not really advancing your board state too much.
Yeah,
even if you Oblivion Wing for 30 and get an energy on board, I'd almost rather just see him try to go a little bit more aggro there, and just hit the Taurus for 90 damage, and then at least you can take a return KO with another Oblivion Wing, with a Darkness Blade from Evil Tile. It's just not a good position. I'm not too sure what the right play is from his point of view.
It's tough, and I think obviously he'd be risking, say, he hits for 90 into the Taurus. Then obviously he's risking, obviously as I mentioned before, a Lysander on a fresh Pokemon and a Mad Bull, and he's still got that Darkrai with all that damage on it. So this is more conservative. So what it means is that there's nothing that Robin can do this turn that's...
Well, he could Lysander.
Yeah, okay, he can. And that's what he's elected to do, but...
Yeah.
Like, ultimately he's knocking out a damaged Darkrai.
Well, it's not a knockout. I don't think it's a knockout.
Oh, he's not going to use...
It's 10 damage short.
Oh, okay.
So
he's not allowed to use Mad Bull. Oh, Chris passed. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, there is no damage on Robin's Taurus. Apologies, yeah. Okay.
So Chris bumps his own parallel, puts down a Silent Lab, which allows him to get a fresh Darkrai into play. So maybe this is the turn where he hits for the 90 I said before.
Yeah.
And then risks the Lysander onto a fresh Darkrai.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because with these ends, Robin's still getting a fair amount of cards, so it is going to still be risky. I mean, the upside is that, I'm not sure if Chris knows this, but Robin doesn't play Trainer's Mail, so it's going to be a little harder for him to find Lysanders than maybe the average deck, but it's not unlikely. It's not. Yeah. Yeah. It's about I don't want to put a number on it, but he could definitely get it.
Yeah. So I guess Turbo Darkrai, the whole strategy behind it is to rush your opponent, to get energy into place so quickly, start doing early damage to put your opponent under so much pressure that they can never really come back. But when you're not really doing that and your opponent's allowed to set up, it's sort of very mediocre. So Chris, unfortunately, missing those early max elixirs, not drawing onto what he needs, means that Robin hasn't done much, to be honest.
No.
He's just hit with Horn Attack 3 times in a row, or 4 times even. But he finds himself in a much superior position to Chris, just board state wise. So now a Lysander from Robin onto that Darkrai on the bench with the 2 energy and Fury Belt will be absolutely devastating for Chris.
Yeah, it absolutely would. And we'll see.
Yeah, so there we see the versus Seeker.
And he does have a Lysander's discard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does from last turn. So.
Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah, so he can get the full mileage out of Mad Bull here.
Yeah.
And
then he can
that's
even...
gonna be rough.
Yeah. And then at some point he can even Lysander up the damage Darkrai and use Palkia to take a knockout.
Yeah,
so...
anything will knock that over.
Yeah.
A gentle breeze will knock out that Darkrai. So, and then Lapras can just clean up with, say, a knockout on a Shaman. Or, Robin has a pretty clear path to victory here.
Yeah, so it's... so there we see the Lysander, and Chris... What do you think about scooping at this point? I know it's really early, but best of 3 never really gets to 3 games.
Yeah. No, that's
games.
It's an interesting dilemma for sure.
How does Chris?
If I were him, I'd scoop. Yeah, if I were him, I'd probably bite the bullet and scoop. You might want to play one more turn out just to see. I mean, the only saving grace is that Robin doesn't really have. Yeah, but the problem is if he's going to be attacking with his Darkrai, then Robin doesn't even need anything because then Palkia would just get a knockout. So, look, it's not looking particularly good.
He couldn't. Yeah, he can't attack with the Oblivion Wing because that wouldn't be a knockout, and then Taurus could just rage it for the KO. So, he had to attack with this Darkrai, and now he's in a pretty vulnerable spot.
Yeah.
Do you know what Palkia's bottom attack does? I can't remember off the top of my
Yeah,
head.
so for 4 water, I believe it does 130.
Okay.
And I think 10 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. I think something like
Right.
that. Oh, hey, that could be the 10 damage needed to finish off Darkrai, yeah. He can actually theoretically win this turn with a certain combination. Well, it's active, so it could max looks to it, but if he got 2 more energy onto it, if he Glycetted at the Shaman, I think he could have used, I think it's Pearl Hurricane.
Yeah.
A seldom used attack, but yeah, I believe that's what the attack does.
Alright. So there you go. So Robin
looks
just
like
thinking
he's not
over
gonna
his
need it.
options. Yeah. I think...
Yeah, he's thinking, what do I want to eat for dinner tonight? This is,
exactly.
yeah. What am I going to have for lunch? What?
Yeah.
Oh boy, just more bleeding. This is...
Yeah. The Rainbow Lapras. Alright, so we see Robin grab a Shaman. Probably just going to dig for...
Yeah, he's going to need to get rid of that
things.
Sunlight. Presumably he has a rough season in his hand. Or he's just...
I think he was just maybe thinning his deck, anticipating.
Yeah, smart, getting rid of the Ultra Balls. I mean, the other thing is that actually Ultra Ball can be a good top deck, but as long as Silent Lab's in play, then you can't Shaman, so I suppose it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so we do see him take the knockout there on the Darkrai, and now Chris, that Oblivion Wing Eviltal has a lot of energy on it. It's a...
it does.
Man, it does, so... But then again, Robin can just Lysander a Shaman for the game.
Yeah.
And Robin needs to take his 2 prizes.
Yeah, so I think... he does need to take his 2
Robin
prizes.
should be down to 2 prizes.
He should be down to 2 prizes. That is a mistake.
So
I think
pretty sure
an
he's
end
got
here is going to be pretty necessary, I think.
Yeah, so hopefully they realise before much more is played, because if they play an N and Robin draws 4, then I don't know what's going to happen. Alright, so Chris Lysander's out Lapras. Okay, so this might be a good turn for an Ice Beam. Oh, he actually has the Lysander for the game.
Well, he could use Ice Beam because he's Bad Ball, but he has
and
Lysander anyway, so...
Yeah, so they realised that Robin should have taken his 2 prizes previously, so...
Well, it's good they figured it out at some point.
That was not a 4-prize Shaman.
No, it wasn't.
Only the Full Arts get you 4 prizes if you knock those out. So Chris, everything kind of went wrong for him there. Robin started with Taurus and he couldn't really attack into it, and he himself missed his max elixirs, just couldn't draw into what he needed, despite having a reasonably decent start with Hooper and Shaman. So yeah, not that great from his point of view, but a reasonably short game 1, I think. So maybe enough time for Turbo Dark to pull it out. We'll have to wait
it's
and
definitely possible. I mean, the only thing is that, of course, these big, beefy, water Pokemon with rough seas and Taurus, they can drag out a game pretty long.
Yeah.
So I think Robin kind of has the series in the palm of his hands. I think he probably has the ability to dictate what's going to happen. Say, for instance, if in this game he thinks he's gonna lose. Well, I suppose it's interesting whether or not how conservative you want to be. Like, say for instance, look, it's probably still in his interest to. Well, look, if he thinks he's gonna lose, and he thinks that he could potentially drag out the game to time, well, then he would do that, because then obviously the game wouldn't count. But then, of course, there's a bit of risk in that, because then if the game does finish, well, then it's a tie. Whereas if you played faster, you might have been able to finish 3 games, if that makes sense. So it can be, often it's like kind of ambiguous as to actually what you want to do.
Yeah.
It's not just always as simple as the person who won the first game wants to play as slowly as possible.
Yeah.
And the person who lost the first game wants to play as quickly as possible. It's like not always that simple, but generally speaking, that's kind of the dynamic that goes on.
But I guess, and generally speaking, if you lose the first game, you're happy if you manage to tie. Whereas if you win the first game, you feel like you should go on and win.
Yeah, based on what sort of had already happened. Yeah, I think it's always an interesting kind of it's interesting, not decision, but kind of
I mean the best of 3 format in 50 minutes. The clock becomes such a huge factor. It's tough to know when to scoop, and that's definitely a skill. And when to play fast and when to take, I don't want to say take like slow play, but take your time to make your decisions, use up what's available to you without actually slow playing. But
yeah,
it's
because it's all on a
factor.
spectrum. Yeah. It's not like there's taking too long for an action and taking the right amount. It's how careful do I want to be?
Yeah.
How much time do I want to exert? Just to make sure I'm making the right play. But yeah. But we do see a good start for Chris.
Yeah.
Living Way Yveltal is really the ideal starter, generally speaking, for the Darkrai deck. There are some exceptions, but...
Yeah, but Chris doesn't have a supporter in hand. He's got a Max Elixir, but he's got no supporter, no Trainer's Mail, so... Could be rough seas for Chris.
Yeah,
if he doesn't find something pretty quickly. Poking for 30 doesn't do a whole lot against a deck that plays rough seas.
Absolutely.
So...
Actually, he's hitting for 40, so he can get
40.
He can get 10 damage in between heals.
Yeah, because of the Fighting Fury belt.
Yep, good old Fighting Fury belt.
So Chris just passes. And
I mean, the thing is that if he top decks the supporter next turn, he wouldn't have lost anything because he got everything out of that turn that he wanted to. He got an attachment, or similarly, if Robin had played N, he got an attachment, he got a Max Elixir, so he hasn't sort of lost any ground per se, but things could turn dicey for him if he doesn't draw something soon.
Yeah. So Robin, for his part, Ultra Balls away. 2 supporters, 1 Full Art Sycamore, 1 N, and gets an Full Art Shaman. So Robin's only qualm with his deck is that Palkia only comes in regular art, and there's no Full Art Palkia.
There is no Full Art. I know. That's disappointing.
It's quite surprising that he's even playing the deck, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. He probably just cut Palkia for like a Full Art. I don't know.
Yeah.
What else is expensive? And water. Full Art Glaceon.
Full Art Glaceon. I think he does play Glaceon.
He already plays, but you can just play more of them. Play 3. Play 3 Full Art Glaceon. Just to shore up your best big boy matchup.
Yeah.
But we do see just a Fighting Fury belt, actually, not an attachment.
Yeah.
Is there an attachment there? I can't see.
He got an attachment. And
he did get an attachment, yeah.
So he can get off a turn 1.
It's possible. With an Elixir and an Energy switch, it's possible. It's unlikely, but he could theoretically do it.
Yeah.
And that would be huge for him if he could get that off.
Yeah, so he's digging. He's got another Shaman in hand. He's got an Energy switch in hand. So he needs to just hit an Elixir. Well, get an Elixir and hit the Elixir. But he's drawn into a few energy as well, so maybe his odds aren't that high.
Yeah, so and it's going to restrict how many cards he can draw off Shaman.
Yeah,
because of course you need to play everything in the right order. He can't burn Energy Switch right now because he needs to Energy Switch the Elixir energy. So that's it can get a bit awkward for these water decks. We do just see him pass in the end, and
he just grabs some Manaphy and passes. And Chris top decked a Elixir, which he hits. So he's going to attach that. So he's got a good amount of energy into play, but he can't move that Oblivion Wing Yveltal, I don't think. So
that's one of the awkward things about Turbo Darkrai is that you do need those switching cards, and if you can't find them, you can sort of find yourself missing out on some aggressive potential early on.
Yeah.
Because it's all well and good to say, okay, I've got a bajillion energy on the bench, but Yveltal does take 2 energy to retreat, and you're never going to want to retreat it.
Yeah. So we see Chris just Oblivion Wing for 30. He countered the Rough Seas with his own Silent Lamp. Sorry, 40.
40, yeah.
And Robin's probably pretty happy that Chris hasn't played a supporter, because if he had, he'll be going off.
He might have been sort of unsure last turn as to whether Chris had a supporter in his hand and he just wasn't playing. He probably had an inkling that Chris didn't have one, because, I mean, with these sort of turbo basic decks, if you have supporters, you generally play them. Like, you're generally not sort of holding stuff in your hand.
Ooh.
So,
and we see Robin N. He drew into too many energy, I think. He didn't want to discard them all. So he's forced to N, and Chris is pumping his fists.
Yeah. Metaphorically, I didn't see him pump his fist.
No, he didn't pump his fist.
Okay, he didn't pump his fist, but...
Metaphorically, yes.
Metaphorically. In his head, he's pumping his fist. But interesting that Robin actually decided to play a supporter at all.
Yeah.
I would have just sort of attached an energy and just...
attacked.
And just used... actually, can't remember what it's called. Aqua Turbo or something like that.
I think it's Aqua Turbo.
Aqua Turbo, yeah.
Yeah.
I know Manaphy is, Aqua
Tube?
Yeah, there we go.
So...
Yeah,
all right,
so we... Because, I mean, what's he going to really get out of this? Yeah, exactly, because he doesn't get anything out of this turn from drawing all those cards with end. He's just going to give Chris more mileage out of that end than he gets.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you there. So Chris has got a full hand again. He gets another Darkrai down, Trainer's Mail. So sees an opportunity here.
Yeah, and now he's back in business.
Yeah.
And because as I mentioned before, he hasn't really sort of wasted time. Like, he's got all his energy on board now, so he could even get a knockout this turn, potentially. He's currently hitting for 100.
100, so he needs one more energy.
So he just needs, because that pug is on, he needs 2 more energies.
He's got a Fury Belt, but he still needs to move the Oblivion Wing Eviltal, so I assume to do that he'd have to play Escape Rope, in which case Robin would either have to send...
there's no way he could knock out there's no way he could knock out the Palkia, because the Palkia's got 180
Yeah, no, you can't knock out the Palkia, but
yeah.
It's even attack with something, with a Darkrai, you'd have to play Escape Rope, so...
Yeah. Which wouldn't be bad, softening up the Lapras or potentially even knocking out the Manaphy or the Shaymin. Yeah, he'd actually love an Escape Rope here, but it doesn't look like he gets it. But he can Oblivion Wing and Energy, so that's always good.
Yep. So
a much better setup for him this game.
Definitely.
And already 7 energy on board. That just 6 energy on board. That just shows you how quickly things can sort of spiral out of control when you're playing a Turbo Dark player. It's like, they've just got a few energy on board. They're not playing dragons with double dragon. They can only attach 1 energy per turn. It's not really that scary, but it can really spiral out of control.
Yeah.
So, and this is sort of always going to be a dilemma for these sort of water box decks. Like, does Robin attack with Lapras now? Is that what he does this turn? Or does he just use Palkia's attack again just to power up another Lapras?
Yeah.
It might depend on whether, say, he has like a Lysander in his hand or something like that as well, but it is a bit of a conundrum, because if he does leave this Palkia active, there's a very good chance that, it's interesting. He might be anticipating that Chris's main way of getting Eviltal out of there is to play an Escape Rope, so he actually knows that for Robin, what he has active is actually relatively safe, possibly.
Yeah.
So, for instance, but then, what does he send up after an Escape Rope? Like, it just sort of...
Yeah, he'd probably have to sacrifice the Shaymin, I think.
Yeah, which isn't really that much better a result.
Yeah. Okay, so Robin actually
So he does have the Lysander, so that's interesting. So the question is he going to go just with the... So he is. He's just going to hit for 40.
Yeah.
And power the rest of his Pokemon, excepting that Lapras is going down. But, that 40 damage is huge, because now Blizzard Burn will knock it out.
Yeah, it's 30
Unless
after
it
the
gets...
Paralyticity reduction.
Oh, sorry, of course,
yeah.
Sorry, 30. Yeah. I missed both the Fury Belt and the Paralyticity.
Yeah.
So 30. But that 30 that also does the trick.
Okay.
As well.
Wow. So Chris commits a 3rd energy to that Darkrai, and he'll be hoping for a Fury Belt, I think, so that Lapras can't follow up.
Interesting that he. Yeah, of course, because the Fury Belt will put it out of range, even if Robin does get the counter stadium.
Yeah.
Interesting that he did attach that to the active. Interesting decision.
Yeah.
Because the alternative probably would have been the Fighting Fury bolted regular Eviltal on the bench, just because it's something that doesn't have to attack again. So it's a relatively safe place to put energy. But
maybe he's hoping to draw into an EXP share. Like 2 XP shares. I'm not too sure. I think you're right. Attaching to the bench to Oblivion Wing Eviltal with the Fury Belts would have been a bit safer.
Yeah. It's just because, this Darkrai's in harm's way, so...
Yeah.
But he's going to get the first 2 prizes here, so... Big contrast to last game. And it's showtime here, and he doesn't get that Fighting Fury Belt, so Robin's eye's probably going to be lighting up here.
Yeah.
So Blizzard Burn currently is actually 10 short because of Paralyticity, but all he needs is either a Fighting Fury Belt or a Counter Stadium, and that'll...
Or a Kukui.
Or a Professor Kukui. Just, that also does the trick. So, that's going to be getting a knockout here. Assuming you can get another energy, that might not be a foregone conclusion, actually.
Yeah.
Although, does he have...
He's got
just
bench,
Lapras on the bench.
With 3.
Oh, sorry, my mistake. He does have 1 on the bench. So, it is a foregone conclusion. That Darkrai is definitely going down.
And crucially for Chris, he's going to be losing 2 energy from his board.
Yeah. He's only going to be losing 1 because of the EXP. Oh, sorry, of course,
No,
he's losing... Yeah, of course.
So...
whereas if he kept that energy somewhere else, he'd still have it. and yeah, it doesn't look like he'll be able to respond with a knockout to this Lapras.
Yeah. So interesting. So after this turn, so Robin is going to take the KO. So after this turn, Chris will have lost 2 energy. So he'll only be hitting for 120, I believe.
Yeah. So once he conserves 1 energy, he'll have
5
4
on board.
Sorry, he'll have 5 on board, so he'll be hitting for 120 plus any other energy he can muster during his turn.
So at that point, he might be thinking Manaphy's and Shamans for the game, because
I mean the prizes
he's down
are
to
set
1
out
Darkrai. So,
definitely. So the prizes are set out for him. An Eviltal, just a regular Eviltal of the Fighting Fury Belt, can actually knock out a Shaman. So but he doesn't actually have that one powered up. So it's gonna be interesting to see what he actually does to get his last prizes.
Yeah, because he's down to 1 Darkrai, so it's gonna be hard for him to stream even 2-hit knockouts on Lapras's. So, and of course, Robin's got the Ice Beam waiting in the wings.
He does, just to complicate things further. So it'll force Chris to have a switching card. Otherwise, the game's pretty much over. If his Darkrai gets stuck active with paralysis, that's probably going to be it.
Yeah. So let's see if Chris can get down another Darkrai and maybe fire off some elixirs as well, whatever he's got left, because that would definitely help his cause. And that's the thing about Turbo Darkrai. It can be resilient just because it requires such little commitment on an active Darkrai to do big amounts of damage. So, so he pops down a Silent Lab. Let's see, can he find... So he's going the Manaphy's for victory.
So he potentially has a win on the following turn. So as I mentioned before, he just needs 1 more energy on that Eviltal Fighting Fury Belt and another Lysander, and he could win the game.
Yeah.
If only he put... again, not to harp on about it, but if you put the energy on the 3rd energy on the Darkrai, if you just put that on the Eviltal, he'd have 1 less thing to try and dig for.
Yeah,
but
closing turns. But so he's got a couple of turns to find it as well, because Robin's not going to be able to KO this Darkrai.
Unless he has a Kukui.
That's right. Yeah, he does play Kukui. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that'd be huge if he could get up for Kukui. Yeah.
No, so he ends.
I plays an N.
So that's a tough decision for Robin whether to Kukui or N, and without playing a Kukui means that Chris could just Lysander and attach an energy for the game. So maybe safer just to N.
Definitely. N and Ice Beam instead. Yeah. You're getting a more protracted 1-hit knockouts in a way, but perhaps that's what he wants, just to disrupt Chris's hand.
Yeah, and I think that's the right play. Because, so Chris draws a Sycamore off his 2 cards, which is great.
That is a good 2 cards. Yeah. Well, Sycamore and any card is a good 2 cards.
So,
and Robin's only getting 4 of this, but he sort of doesn't really need as many cards probably at this point.
Yeah.
Because of course Chris only has 2 prizes left, so it's not like Robin needs more attackers. Aside maybe to cycle through, but...
So we see the Ice Beam GX come down from Robin, so 100 damage and paralysis. And Chris top decks a Trainer's Mail as well, so it's great from Chris. What does he grab? He just grabs an Ultra Ball, pretty useless card now.
Yeah, so just looking to thin that out of his deck. He might even... actually no, can't play it, but... Yeah, just thin it out of his deck. Although he might potentially want Ultra Balls in his deck just to find the last Darkrai, possibly. Yeah. That could be something to consider, but even then it might still not be a card that you want in your deck.
I think he's probably committed to this Shaman for the game.
Yeah.
At this point, he might be. Might be what he's thinking. He's probably anticipating another N the following turn. So just thin out as many cards as he can from his deck to increase his odds of drawing into a Lysander.
Yeah.
So doesn't get an energy, does he?
I can't see one.
That could be big.
Yeah, well, it's if he couldn't get the Darkrai out of the active spot, it doesn't really matter whether he gets the energy
Yeah, but as
Oh, I
in...
suppose it means that he wouldn't have. He
Okay, so
couldn't
it does
Lysander
get an energy, but he attaches it to the EXP shared Evoltile, which is interesting.
Yeah, it is an interesting play because it does mean that. Oh, but he has an escape rope. Oh, wow, wow,
Right,
wow.
okay. So,
So Robin's
yep,
setting
so
up the
Darkness
other
Blades here.
Lapras. Okay, he's just going to Darkness Blade. Yep. Gets Tails, I believe, so he can't
Yeah,
attack next turn. Is that a hit?
so he's obviously got a follow-up Lysander in hand.
Yeah, of course.
So
The problem with this is that Robin can rough seize, and but then the question is, could Chris finish him off with a Darkrai?
yeah, I think he can.
And then the problem is if he has to retreat with. Actually, that's interesting.
So
Okay, so let's just say Robin retreats, rough seas.
he'll go down
Then
to
it'll
70,
be down to 70. So let's just say
160 effective hit points.
yeah, yeah. And then I think it would be out of range, but I mean the Shaman's still there on the board.
No, 160. He's got 7 energy, but I guess he'll probably lose. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I'm assuming he's losing energy. Yeah.
So yeah. So Robin has to retreat here, no question about it.
Yeah.
Ideal turn for him, I guess, would be retreat, rough seas, and he's got to burn his energy to do so because his Manaphy's been knocked out.
Oh, of course. Yeah. It's just one of those things where generally when Manaphy's in play,
Yeah.
you just kind of take it for granted. But
Yeah. Which
well,
means
actually,
that
discards an Olympia, so he probably does have something. Probably has like a switch in his hand to.
yeah, or he's just gonna end. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is
Yeah, or
interesting.
going for the end. Yeah.
So burning that energy might be crucial because then Robin can't sort of blizzard burn that easily. Oh no, he does get another energy onto the other Lapras, so that's fine. And he actually Sycamores, so
Wow. Yeah, plays Sycamore. Interesting.
Chris can potentially win the game next turn.
Okay, it does get the rough seas, but yeah, no, definitely this is.
Oh, so he drops a Fury Belt on the Shaman, and that changes things massively.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Because now Chris is going to need to do 150 damage as opposed to
Yeah.
110. If energy get wiped off the board, that could be the difference between being able to knock it out and not.
Yeah, so Chris is going to be have 5 energy on board once this Oblivion Wing Evoltile gets knocked out. Because 1 will be conserved by the XP share on the Darkrai.
Yeah.
So that's only 120 for Darkrai, so he's still a fair way short.
Yeah, because he already has the XP share on the Darkrai. He can't use Fighting Fury Belt, so he'd actually need a Max Elixir and an energy, which does seem unlikely at this point. Particularly combined with the Lysander, it's almost impossible.
Yeah, so great play though by Robin, and Chris Hart must have sunk a little bit when he saw that Fury Belt dropped on the Shaman.
Yeah.
Now what does he do?
Oh no, he has. Actually, no. Sorry, he has 5 energy at the moment, so he's currently hitting for.
He's hitting for 120, so he still
120,
needs a Max
Sorry,
Elixir.
that's right. Yeah.
Or a Reverse Valley. Not sure if he plays those.
So many energy. Actually, Reverse Valley. That's another. He does play Parallel City and Silent Lab, so it does look like he probably has decided to cut Reverse Valley from his deck.
Yeah. So he's really in a really tough spot now. And this, So it's interesting. And does he have an energy in hand? I don't think so. So, as you said earlier, Roland, not to harp on about it, but it's a good example, and I'm sure Chris will appreciate it as well, of just how one misplaced energy can end up being the difference. So, again, if he'd attached that energy on the Darkrai to the Oblivion Wing Evoltile now, with the 2 energy on it, he would have had 6 energy, meaning he only needed 1 and a Lysander. But it's by the by now. So we see the Silent Lab come down. Probably not going to be too relevant.
Yeah, could stop Manaphy from coming into effect. Because the thing is that Robin still has to grind out this game. So, and if he keeps having to discard energy retreating between Laprases, he could find himself essentially losing that way. He could be running on energy as well.
That's true. So, what can Chris do?
Because at a minimum, he still has to take 2 knockouts. So, and
Yeah.
because he did use Blizzard Burn last turn, he's got to find some way of attacking again this turn.
Yeah. So, he does have energy switches and things.
Oh, the Wizards in Rough Seas, that could be quite big, actually. But, I mean, okay, even with energy switches, I mean, the point is that you're just losing 2 energy from play. And there's only so many energy to switch around, so...
But he could potentially just wait. Like, once this active Darkrai goes down, Chris isn't really doing a whole lot of damage, so he could just wait that turn to use Blizzard Burn again.
Right, yeah, possibly, yeah. That could be something that we see, but probably not going to be ideal, but it is something that he could do.
So... He's got to retreat this Lapras. No question, because just the energy from Chris is going to be a knockout. So
yeah, that's a relatively simple decision. I mean, unless he actually wants to gamble, unless he wants to do a huge gamble and say end Chris to, would he be ending him to 2? Ending him to 1? 2, yeah. End him to 2 and just hope he doesn't drain energy. It does seem like Chris has played a lot of energy this game.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't find another one, he actually wouldn't be able to finish off this Lapras. Because, yeah, if he retreats here, well then... Because there's a Lapras on the bench with 2 energy, so if he attaches 1 more to that, he can attack, but then where does he go? Like,
yeah, I don't think he didn't use Blizzard Burn with this Lapras last turn, so he can't actually knock out this active Darkrai with this Lapras that's active.
Right, yeah.
So he has to
can't
retreat
even attack.
it.
Yeah, oh sorry, he has to, even just to attack, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a highly risky strategy I was talking about. You can't even do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's absolutely going to retreat, yeah.
He does... Yeah, so energy switches. He's got another one in hand. Okay. So he retreats. He's going to Blizzard Burn, take the KO, and this has gone down to the wire. So Chris needs an energy and a Lysander for the game.
Yeah, and crucially there he does get a second energy onto the bench Lapras, so that means that he can follow up on the following turn.
With another Blizzard Burn.
Yeah.
Oh, this is getting so tight.
Yeah, it is. But of course, I mean, what makes it even more complicated is that, but he still can't knock out a Darkrai in one hit.
Yeah,
so
without a Kukui or some kind of assistance
exactly.
like
So
that.
he'd need, he'd need a Versus Seeker for Kukui, or maybe a second Kukui if he hasn't played both of them.
And both players shuffling each other's decks, cutting the crucial cards to the bottom.
Yeah.
All right.
I believe I saw a Versus Seeker there.
Did you?
I thought I saw a Versus Seeker.
Oh man, this is so tight. So Robin just going to take the KO here. He's got a Shaman in hand to draw some more cards and a Versus Seeker.
He does.
Looks
Yeah,
like.
that could be very big. So yeah, he might not be able to knock out a Darkrai, but he could always Lysander out that Yveltal. So unless Chris has an end here, this is probably going to be the last turn.
So Chris promotes the Yveltal, so he obviously doesn't have much. That's just fodder for Lapras for the last prize.
Well, if anything, if he didn't have anything, he probably would want to promote the Darkrai, because that's the only thing that would give him a chance. Like, if he's promoted the Yveltal, if anything, that signals to me that he has some sort of play. Because if you didn't have a play, obviously you wouldn't really send out Yveltal. Unless you thought that Robin just couldn't attack next turn. He still needs another energy, I suppose. But
Robin's got 4 cards in hand, so two off the prizes. Okay, so Versus Seeker Lysander. So he's going to try and stick the Lapras active here.
Yes, he is. The only thing is that does reset Blizzard Burn, so Robin's just going to need a way to switch this out.
Yeah.
And then the effect will be
looks
gone.
Looks like Robin's got it. He's got an energy switch to retreat, and he can Blizzard Burn.
Wow, yeah, that's
KO the Yveltal for the last prize, and wow.
Just manages to get himself over the line. Yeah, that's a really, really good game.
So he tried to stick the Lapras active, and Robin... Just those energy switches came in clutch at the end once Manaphy got knocked out.
He played so much of the game without Manaphy, but I didn't really not that it didn't make a difference, but he was still able to clutch it out regardless. The Water Box deck is kind of resilient, even if you're not always getting the strategy that you want with all the Manaphy's just seamlessly retreating for free, it can still grind out a win.
Yeah, so congrats to Robin there for taking round 1. Commiserations to Chris. We'll see you guys in the next video for round 2. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and comment. Cheers. See ya. Alright, stop recording in 3, 2, 1.